Layla had always been a dreamer, full of hopes and plans for the future. Born into a traditional family in the Middle East, she grew up hearing stories about life outside her hometown. From a young age, she dreamed of exploring the world, but family expectations weighed heavily on her shoulders. When she turned 18, her parents announced that she was promised to a young man from an influential family in the region. The marriage was seen as a natural and necessary step, but Layla felt there was so much more to discover before committing to a life that seemed so restrictive. When she received the opportunity to study abroad at a university in the United States, Layla didn't hesitate. It was the chance she had been waiting for to experience the freedom and independence she longed for. Upon arriving in the United States, she was struck by the cultural diversity and the opportunities surrounding her. People were open and welcoming, and the vibrant atmosphere of the university campus was electrifying. In the first few days, Layla felt a bit out of place, but she quickly began to adapt. The freedom she felt was intoxicating. She could come and go as she pleased, wear what she wanted, and have fun without fear of judgment. University parties were a new experience for her, dancing until late at night, meeting people from different parts of the world, and exploring new cultures left her exhilarated. During one of these parties, Layla met Adam, a charismatic and outgoing student who quickly became her guide to this new culture. Adam was everything Layla desired: fun-loving, adventurous, and free-spirited. He invited her to parties and social events, introducing her to new friends and experiences. The chemistry between them was palpable from the start. Layla felt drawn to his infectious energy. As days turned into weeks, Layla began living a double life. During the day, she was the dedicated student attending classes and studying for exams. At night, when Adam invited her out, she transformed into someone completely different, someone who danced freely at university parties and laughed without a care beside him. To justify her prolonged absences when with Adam, Layla lied to him, saying that she was working on an engineering project on the oil platform where her fiancé worked. She made up stories about long shifts and how she needed to be away for weeks at a time. Adam believed Layla's lies and supported her in her professional struggles. On days when Amir was home, Layla did her best to avoid any contact with Adam. She became a devoted wife again, preparing romantic dinners for Richard and spending time with him while trying to maintain appearances as her mind frequently wandered to Adam. It was a dangerous game. Every encounter with Adam was filled with passion and excitement, while every moment with Richard felt more monotonous than ever. The meetings with Adam were filled with adventure. They explored new places together, from cozy cafes to nature trails, always laughing and sharing stories about their lives. Every moment spent with him made Layla feel more alive than ever before. She was finally experiencing the freedom she had always desired. One memorable night was when Adam took Layla to a local festival. The bright lights illuminated the night sky as they walked hand in hand between food stalls and live music. The atmosphere was filled with laughter and joy. Layla realized how much she had changed since arriving in the United States. She was far from the traditional expectations of her family and living fully in the present. But there was always a shadow of guilt hanging over her, the commitment to her fiancé Amir waiting for her back home. In intimate moments with Adam, Paloma felt torn between two worlds, the love for freedom represented by Adam and the commitment to Amir. As months passed, the cycles of living a double life began to wear on Layla emotionally. She felt torn between two worlds, one where she was a devoted wife and another where she was a passionate lover. The tension increased every time Richard came home. He noticed subtle changes in her behavior, moments of distraction or absent-minded looks. One day, while alone at home waiting for Richard to return from work, Layla decided that she needed to end her double life. She didn't want to live this lie anymore. The weight of guilt was becoming unbearable. But when Richard came home with flowers and a smile on his face, all her plans fell apart. "I miss you so much when I'm away," he said as he wrapped his arms around her. The sincere love in Richard's eyes made her heart ache even more. She knew she was about to break this man. In the following days, Layla struggled with conflicting feelings while trying to maintain normal appearances at home. But whenever she thought about Lucas and the happy moments they shared together, a wave of sadness would wash over her heart. How could she give up that part of herself? Finally, during a romantic dinner she prepared for Richard after a long absence from him, Layla decided to be honest about her feelings. She could no longer live like this. She needed to tell him the truth about her meetings with Lucas. But when she started talking about her feelings of loneliness and frustration in their marriage, something inside her hesitated. The thought of hurting Richard seemed unbearable. He didn't deserve that. So she chose to omit the complete truth, only mentioning that she had missed him during his absences. Richard smiled understandingly and held her hand. "I know it's hard being away from each other for so long. Let's make this work." His words cut even deeper. Isabel realized that she was trapped in a web of lies without knowing how to escape. Life continued in this painful cycle for several more months until everything unexpectedly reached a climax when David decided to visit the neighboring town to see how things were going at the gym where Isabel trained regularly. He wanted to better understand her world. When he first entered the gym and saw Lucas animatedly talking to Isabel after an intense class, his heart sank as he realized something was wrong. Until that fateful moment he had no idea about their secret relationship. The scene before him was devastating. David stood frozen for a moment as he watched them laughing together. Something broke deep inside him like a popped balloon, letting out all hope he still had. The truth finally came out when David confronted Isabel that night at home. He needed to know everything, every detail about the lies told over months. The revelation of the affair completely shook their relationship. Richard was devastated upon discovering all the truth about his wife's betrayals. And so ended another story marked by betrayal. An account of how impulsive choices can lead to the destruction of precious bonds without any real hope for reconciliation or happy endings in sight. In the months following David's discovery of betrayal, Paloma realized how difficult it would be to maintain her double life without being discovered again. She knew that she had crossed a dangerous line by deceiving not only David but also Lucas, a man for whom genuine feelings had also developed during their secret meetings. While trying to cope with the emotional consequences of previous revelation, Paloma often found herself thinking about ways in which she could have avoided this complicated situation from the start. The moral dilemma weighed heavily on her shoulders like a heavy anchor. Every time she looked into David's eyes she felt guilty for all the lies told during those 2 years, lies carefully constructed to protect her heart but now threatening everything she had built until then. During this turbulent period, Paloma decided to continue keeping in touch with Lucas despite growing difficulties between them. She knew it might be better to end everything, but something deep inside still longed for those exciting moments together, moments where she could be free without judgment or heavy expectations placed upon her. Thus began secret messages between them again, meeting furtively whenever David was away, each encounter turning into a risky dance between true love and unfulfilled desire. With each new meeting, Paloma tried justifying her actions to herself, saying that this emotional freedom was necessary, even though deep down she knew how wrong it all was. And so their clandestine meetings continued, a vicious cycle fueled by adrenaline from secrecy, making it increasingly difficult to resist growing attraction between them. One day, in the midst of that clandestine routine, Lucas suggested taking a quick getaway for a weekend out of town. The idea seemed too tempting to resist. Initially hesitant, thinking about promises made to David, she soon gave in to temptation, feeling alive again just imagining being away from daily obligation. When they arrived at their destination, the small cabin by the lake, everything seemed perfect. They spent hours exploring nature together, laughing freely while swimming in cool lake waters under warm sunshine. In that relaxed atmosphere, Paloma finally let go of all worries, allowing herself fully immerse into this new romance. The nights were filled with warm laughter accompanied by deep conversations under bright stars reflecting their hopes and future dreams. But even in this idyllic setting, a part of her knew that this happiness couldn't last forever. Reality always patiently waiting just beyond horizon, ready to crash down upon them when they least expected it. And so they continued living this temporary illusion, fully aware of risks involved while both fought against growing inner conflicts within themselves. As time went by, Paloma realized how deeply emotionally involved she had become with Lucas, each shared kiss carrying unspoken promises never voiced but always intensely felt between them. Yet there always loomed that shadow over them, the awareness of deceit perpetuated against David, complicating everything further while they tried navigating through turbulent waters of this new relationship built upon fragile foundation. And so another month passed filled with secret adventures hidden from prying eyes of society, while Paloma internally battled moral dilemmas growing ever more intense within herself. She knew that living this lie indefinitely wasn't possible, but also feared losing that special connection created with Lucas during all those magical moments spent together far away from daily obligation. As days passed, Paloma faced difficult decisions ahead where everything could drastically change depending on choices made in crucial moments. And so they continued their intertwined lives filled with unspoken tensions weighing heavily between them until reaching point where decisions made could irrevocably change everything.